On this edition of Title Unboxed, we welcome the only fighter to win world titles from junior middleweight all the way to the heavyweight championship of the world. He also held the record of 7 light heavyweight belts at the same time. On top of that, he was the only middleweight champion to win a heavyweight title in 106 years. One of the greatest pound-for-pound fighters of all time, Roy Jones Jr.
Welcome to Title Unboxed. With more than 40 years of experience in the fight game, our host, Doug Ward, will be covering every corner of the ring as we get comfortable between the ropes. We'll talk with both the lesser knowns and the legends, discuss boxing's rich history and current state of the game. We'll also look at today's latest innovations, equipment breakdowns, and insights you won't uncover anywhere else. Join us now as we take a look inside Title Unboxed.
Roy, thanks for joining us on Title Unboxed.
Thank you.
Great seeing you. You're fresh off the fight with Tyson, the exhibition. One of the highest grossing, the highest grossing in pay-per-view history. Now that you've had a little bit of time to reflect on it, what are your thoughts about the experience, the moment, the fight itself?
It was a great experience, a great moment, great opportunity, a beautiful night, opportunity to find something out that I always wanted to know. How strong, how really good was Mike Tyson. Found out about his strength. Of course, the speed ain't what it probably was in the prime, but the strength is still there, and it was awesome, a phenomenal feat for me. So glad to be able to share the experience with myself and to know how it was. So it was a great thing. I just am thankful for everybody that participated. You also make sure y'all check out Tom and Kello's YouTube channel. But me and Tom do some stuff whenever Tom was great with the game plan. He gave me a perfect game plan to go in with it. I felt very confident, and I felt the game plan is what really gave me life in that fight, because having a game plan is really big in most situations. And what people don't understand is if you don't have a game plan, it's very hard to beat a person, no matter how good you are.
Yeah. Definitely want to come back to Tom, talk about him. You've been with him for a while, and he's an outstanding trainer.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, again, back to the fight. 1.6 million pay-per-view buys, raked in over $80 million.
Yes.
That's incredible.
I mean, the craziest thing I've ever heard, 51 and 54, who would ever thought at 51 or 54 years old, you guys could still sell almost 2 million buys on pay-per-view? Yeah. Got to be a blessing from God, brother. Got to be a gift and a great blessing from the Lord above. Only way that could possibly have happened.
Right. Well, they always said that the last thing to leave a fighter is power. So you absolutely felt that power against Mike, huh?
I felt mine. I'm sure he felt. I felt his. I'm sure he felt mine. Yes.
So you said you'd check with your family and review your situation after the fight. So I do have to ask you: does an event of that magnitude does that fuel your competitive spirit and you want more, or does it kind of does it satisfy you and you go, well, I've done about everything I can in the sport. I'm ready to walk away.
The problem is I was satisfied before that event.
Yeah.
So that's not the problem. But what it really is like people like Tom, they seem to enjoy the fun that we have in training and preparation much more than I do. I mean, because my body got to go through it. Their spirit and their mind go through it, but my body got to go through it along with my spirit and my mind. They go through it in spirit. So it's a lot easier for them to want to keep going than it is for me. Right. So now, with that being said, I mean, I know the guys that are Triller want me to kind of get on board and help them do some more things, put some more fights together. They're not necessarily pressuring me to fight, but at the same time, with it being such big events, before Floyd Mayweather fought Conor McGregor, I wanted to fight Anderson Silva.
Mm-hmm.
And me and Anderson Silva wanted to fight one another. So with him being just recently released by the UFC, we both still kind of want to make that fight happen. And now with this platform and seeing the amount of buys that me and Mike got, if it generates anywhere near the audience that generated, the attention that generated, then I probably definitely would do that. But if not that, then I don't really see much else that I would do that would generate that much attention. And me, I'm a seeker. I like to try to outdo what I did last time. Just me doing it. But if it's something that people really want to see, and it look like it has the potential to outdo that, with the way that they did this telecast, the way they did this production, it's like something totally different in boxing. And to start this new wave and start this new situation and give some new life and new blood to boxing, I would sacrifice and do it just because of that. Yeah. So I'm saying not even necessarily because of how much it racked in a lot of money for other people, not necessarily me, but it made a lot of money for other people. But I just wanted
Right.
to participate because I knew that it would mean a lot to the people, and people
Right.
needed something. You understand me? I took the movie role of it. They did it in a movie format. So if we get the smaller end, I got the smaller end of the stick.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the people got something to entertain them. It brought people back together on a whole. Blacks, whites, everybody got together and enjoyed and watched and talked about the fight because it was two major legends in the ring at the same time. So it brought people together, had fight parties, made people get together, forget about all the bad things
Yep.
going on in the world.
Yep.
And one night, the world stood still and had a good time, like the old times. And if I
Right.
could do that again, I definitely would do that again.
Right. Well, amen to that. Okay, so at 51 years old, you've been out of the ring. You were out of the ring for 3 years. You know, how do you approach training differently with you and Tom? I know that as you get older, you lose some reflexes, some speed, but you gain knowledge and you become more settled and grounded in your fight game. How do you feel that you've
Mm-hmm.
progressed and changed as a fighter, and what do you and Tom do to make those adjustments?
Well, what we do basically is try to focus on things that require less leg movement because the legs are the first thing to go in a fighter, especially a fighter that uses them a lot. And my
Yep.
legs were very key and very vital in my domain, in my dominion in boxing over the years. So we have to find ways to make up for those legs not being the same. That's the main thing we do. The second thing we do is we got to make sure we put in enough rest days. And we put in
Right.
a lot. I don't think we put in enough this time, but we did put in some rest days. But like I tell Tom, he has to understand my body's more like a cheetah. I go at a
Yep.
very, very high speed, high octane. Takes a
Yep.
lot. So it takes a lot more for me to recover than it does for the average because they can't go as high and as hard and as fast as I can.
Right.
So their recovery is gonna be a little quicker than mine because they don't go all the way up like I do. I go so high, so hard, and so fast, I gotta have more recovery time than them. It's like a cheetah
Hmm.
can run fast as hell for 35, 40 seconds. But after that, he got relax for a long time or his heart explodes.
Right. Now, I
That's
hear
kind of how
your
I am.
I hear your roosters crowing in the background. And so you said a lot of your original fighting style you developed by watching cockfighting.
Hmm.
Talk a little bit about that and that influenced your individual style.
Well, in cockfighting, roosters though, like even when you raise the game roosters like I do now, they're gonna as they grow up, they're gonna have picking order competitions. Nothing you can do about that. This is what they're gonna do. When they have them picking order competitions, you learn who's the boss and who gets to be the boss. You get to watch them. You get to see why one is better than the other. What he carries himself like, how he feels, how it looks to be the boss, how it looks to be at the top of the picking order. What his personality, what his characteristics are. You want to learn those type of things, and I was able to learn those type of things at a young age. How they carry themselves, what the characteristics was, what made one better than the rest. I mean, you study that because God put that in them, not man. God put that
Hmm.
in them. So if that's how God made them, then of course they're gonna have a better way than we do as to understand how that goes because they don't have a mind and say, oh, this is what I'm gonna do. They know this is just what's gonna happen for them. And people think, oh, you make them. No, no, no. They do that anyway. That's what's gonna happen. So
Yeah,
you learn from watching stuff that God created to do that.
that's totally true. So much of what you did you came natural, but and you had like a sixth sense in the ring. You were one of those few athletes that were aware where the judges were, so that you knew what punches they were seeing. You were aware where the referee was at, so you knew what you could get away with or not. You knew what the announcers were saying. You would listen to them, and all the while you got this guy in front of you that's wanting to take your head off. You had an unusual sixth sense that not all fighters have. Do you feel like that was God given and natural, or is that something you developed from being in the gym at a young age?
That's the one thing that was God given and natural. That was God given and natural.
Yeah.
All of it's God given, but indirectly. Because I spend more time in the gym perfecting my craft than almost any fighter you could ever name today. I got
Yeah.
more hours spent on throwing a jab, a straight right hand, a left hook, a left uppercut, a left body shot, a right hook, a right uppercut, a right body shot, an overhand right. Oh, I got more time spent in
Yeah.
moving forward, moving backwards, moving laterally, moving around, moving. I got more hours spent in actual scholastic boxing than anybody you ever meet. And they
Yeah.
always say, oh, he's athletic. No, it's not. That sixth sense may be something that was just God given. The rest of it is not. The rest of
Right.
it is hard work. With a
Yep.
talent that God gave you, put that talent through hard work. My father put me through hard work. That's what made me the best. Not just a God given talent. That's why I can teach it because I
Yeah.
know it. You feel
Yeah.
me? Now,
Hmm.
everybody can't perfect it the way I did because they don't have that extra given talent that I had, probably, or that sixth
Right.
sense. But
Right.
they can get close because I know how I went about learning 95% of everything I know in boxing. And well, 90%, because 5% I got from the birds, and, and the other 5% came from all of it come from God, but it's like
Yeah.
all of it come from God, but with talent with no work is no good.
Right.
Talent
Right.
without extra work doesn't make you great. You gotta have
Right.
talent with hard work and extra overtime work to get great.
It's the combination of both. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you bring up your dad. I want to hit on that because I think we see more and more father son teams these days than we've ever seen. I mean, most recently you
Mm-hmm.
got Teofimo Lopez and his dad. You go back in time, you got Trinidad and his father. I think we're seeing more and more of this. What is it about a father son relationship that works or doesn't? I know your dad drove you maybe to an extent that was, at some point it became detrimental, and you were like, "Well, I got to move on from this." But
Yeah.
what makes that
Yeah.
chemistry work, and what makes it not?
Well, it's hard to say what really makes it work for me, but I tell you this: most fathers put more time to their kids because they learn the things that they shouldn't have done themselves. They
Right.
take their own personal life and they try to fix their personal life through the kid. So everything that they thought the kid did wrong or should have did or that they shouldn't have done, they try to make sure the kid doesn't do it. And that's a
Right.
beautiful thing because that gives a kid the advantage already. The
Yeah.
hardest part is learning how to be a father and then also learn how to be partner. You feel
Yeah.
me? Because at
Hmm.
some point, you ain't his father no more. You're his partner who he confides in, who
Yeah.
is 50-50. He had really more than 50-50 because his life's one is just being put on the line, not yours. You understand me? The hardest part about that is that the father has a hard time relinquishing that father title.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
knowing this is a coach and athlete, they have a hard time separating that. That's where the biggest problem comes. And in most cases, the ones that can separate, they do pretty good, but the ones that can't separate it, which is most of them can't, they have a hard time. You know,
It's
it's
tough.
like
Yeah.
or to be like at some point it get bad, like Lomachenko. If they said something happened, stuff happened. They said he told his father, "If you put me out the fight, I'll never fight again." That's a
Right.
hell of a threat. You
Yeah.
understand?
Yeah.
What can the
Yeah.
father do? You feel me? So it's
Yeah.
things like that that happen that makes it very tough. But then you got other situations where sometimes, and I'm not sure this because I don't hang around a lot of father sons, but you saw what happened with Shane and Jack Moser. Didn't work
Mm.
out so well. Shane smart and then try to train his son too much because he knows what happened with him and his dad. You feel me?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
then you go with Chavez. Chavez knew he kind of tried to put his son to other people, but it still didn't work out. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? But he didn't try to do it. He tried to let other people do it. Just didn't work out for him. So it's like some fathers and sons probably can work out. It's hard for me to find a real, truly successful one.
Yep.
Teofimo Lopez and his father's doing really good right now, but
Yep.
the problem will come until that success comes in. That's when
Yeah.
the problem comes because
Yeah.
you can't have two heads at the top of the wagon. There's gonna be
Yeah.
one head at the top of the wagon. It should be the fighter, but if you have a good relationship, then the fighter gonna let the father be the father, and he gonna be the fighter. So
Hmm.
they have a hard time. Joe Calzaghe, I think, probably did the best of it. Him and Enzo probably
That's
did the best of it.
probably that's a great example.
Yeah. They
Yeah.
probably did better than anybody, but nobody
And
else I've seen could do it that way.
so it's a lot of it's just striking that balance and knowing
Hmm.
that border that you don't cross. Here, I'm your father
Exactly,
now, and
exactly,
I'm your coach at the other times.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly, and that's the problem. And like most people, they never get to understand that. Like my father still to this day does not understand that you, my father, I'm grown just like you're grown now, and
Yeah.
then that's why we don't really get along because I know that he doesn't understand that, and he's never gonna understand that.
Yeah.
He think I'm always with a 12-year-old kid to him, and that's not the case. That's why
Yeah.
we can't get along.
Yeah. But you learned some stuff from him initially, right? I
I
mean,
learned a lot. I learned a lot.
yeah.
I mean, listen. My father made me basically who I am because he taught
Yeah.
me so many things, intentionally and unintentionally, and made me try to be the person that I am today. So
Yeah.
it's like I'm not saying I regret anything. I don't regret nothing. I'm glad it happened that way.
Sure.
Just that when you get to a certain age, you got to realize and see this is what people also understand. This is also how life goes. When a lion gets a certain age, he gotta go.
Yeah.
His
Yeah.
father said, "You gotta go. You gotta go find your own, and don't come back here and dad no. No, you gotta go somewhere and become somebody dead.
Yeah.
They don't want to see you no more. If they see you again, it's war to death. You understand me? Some people are like that too.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
understood that too. Some people say, "Well, why two lions don't reconcile?
Yeah.
One gotta die. So
Yeah.
why am I gonna go there when I know we two lions? It don't make sense. So they talk, but they don't understand.
Yeah.
God gave us all the stuff He gave us for us to understand. They don't understand. I do.
That makes total sense. Now, I started boxing when I was 15. So I
Mm-hmm.
grew up in the 80s. So one of my, I don't want to say fondest because it's not fond, but one of my most dramatic memories is watching you in the 1988 Seoul Olympics.
Mhm.
getting what was absolutely has to be one of the top three worst decisions in boxing of all time.
It's number one.
I'll give that to you. I'll give
It's
that
number
to you.
one.
But the question is, what impact did that
It's number
have on
one.
your career at the time? I know you're like, I'm done with this, but did that serve to motivate you as a fighter in time? Did you use that
Honestly,
fuel to
honestly, I did, but when it happened right away, I didn't think it was gonna happen that way because
yeah,
when it first happened, I was like, man, I'm through with boxing.
yeah,
How can you go across the finish line first and still be second? No, that's not the sport I want to be in. If I go
yeah,
across the finish line first, I expect to be the winner. And if I ain't cheated, ain't doing it, I should be the winner. I went across the finish line first, clean, no cheating
yeah,
on nothing, and I still got second.
yeah,
Then you go say, well, but you're the fastest, you're the best athlete here in this sport. Wait a minute. If I'm the best athlete here in this sport, why do I have a gold medal?
right.
You understand me? And if somebody
Yeah,
would beat me, or I had a bad night, or I would understand that too. Then that way I could say, they say you are the best, just that you had a bad night. I can understand that too. But this case, this dude got completely annihilated by me. And
it was
y'all take my
totally
gold medal.
one-sided.
Then y'all give me the Val Bucket Cup says I'm the best fighter at the Olympics.
Yeah, right.
But I don't have a gold medal. Come on, but really,
Yeah,
really.
yeah,
So right away, I thought I wanted to quit boxing. But after I got home, I realized that that was the biggest blessing that God could have gave me.
hmm,
Because as we were traveling back home, nobody wanted to see the three guys that won a gold medal. They wanted to see the one guy that got cheated of a gold medal.
that's
And that
true.
was God opening my
Yep,
eyes to
yep,
look, son. God takes what you think is the worst nightmare ever and turns that into a positive, one of
yep,
the best positive for you in your life. You just got to take that and go with it. And you got to trust God and go with that. And so to me, that was God's way of fueling me so that I went and accomplished everything I should have accomplished as a professional. Because had I won a gold medal, I probably would have not gotten to be the best pound for pound fighter that I am today,
hmm,
or that I came to be. And that would have been the person that I am today because I would have turned pro like everybody else did, just took it for granted and thought, hey, I won Olympic gold medal, so I'm supposed to turn
yeah.
pro and become world champion. Instead, because of the way it happened, I turned pro with a vengeance.
That's a great point. Yeah, I think in life in general, sometimes what you think is the worst situation that could happen to you ends up being, exactly what was meant for you to be, and ends up being something very positive.
Of course, and that's where faith comes in. When you have faith to believe in God that He can do that for you, then He'll show you that. That's exactly what happened to me. Just like
Yeah,
when I got robbed, when I got disqualified for my first loss, same thing. I got
yeah,
disqualified, came back, probably had one of the most memorable fights of my whole career was the second fight against Montell Griffin because I had
absolutely.
once again I had been challenged because they robbed me, they took my belt, and it just like what happened at the Olympics. It kind of fueled my fire, and look what
Yeah.
happened.
One is phenomenal. You hadn't lost. A fact is, you hadn't lost a single round heading into that
Hmm.
gold medal match, and didn't lose any of
Hmm.
those rounds. So I
Nope.
don't know that anybody's ever accomplished that before or since.
Yeah, I don't think so.
So let's get back to what I want to do. I want to take a little departure here. I'd love to go through every fight of your career because you've had so many phenomenal experiences and performances. But what I want to do is just do a top 10. If you'll just go through your career with me and think about the different opponents you fought and your different experiences with each one. Um, the hardest you've hit anyone.
The hardest I hit somebody was when I hit Arsenal because I had two jam fingers on one hand and three jam fingers on the other hand. And I
Oh
knew
man.
no way in the world was I going to be able to last 10 rounds with that hand wrap on my hand because both of my hands were throbbing as soon as I got a wrap. Because I had two jam fingers here and three jam fingers here. I'm playing
Oh wow.
basketball with Dan or Joe Goosen the week of the fight up in Reno, Nevada at the at the YMCA, I think.
That's funny. Okay,
So
so
that's the
that
hardest I've hit somebody. I had to hit him that hard though because if I didn't hit him that hard, knock him out right away, I would have had to quit because my hand was
mhm,
hurting too bad.
yeah. So you had a lot of incentive. So how
Yeah,
about the hardest you've been hit?
hardest I got hit by a guy named Eddie Evans, a guy from Atlanta in
Uh,
Pensacola, Florida, right here at the Civic Center. I mean, at
yeah,
the fairground. In a fight that was supposed to be an easy fight. The fight it wasn't supposed to be easy, but it was supposed to be an opponent that was a no-name opponent. He was a big guy, strong guy, but I never expected him to hit that hard. He
yeah,
hit me so hard that when I finally stopped him, I was mad because the referee stopped the fight because I felt like I hadn't got enough of my lick back yet. I had
yeah,
hit him a lot of time, but I hadn't hit him hard enough like he hit me. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? I looked for him for years just to try to get another rematch, just so I can get my damn lick back because he hit me too hard.
That's common though, isn't it? The guy
Yeah,
that you don't expect or that you've
yeah.
underestimated.
Yeah, I
Close
ain't
out a little
underestimated,
bit.
but he damn sure hit me hard.
Yeah.
So I was like, whoa.
How about the smartest fighter you faced? You've probably got one, if not the highest ring intelligence in the game, but there has to be somebody that you went, oh, wow, this is a chess match here.
I fought a guy in my early days. I forget his name right now. But I think it'll come to me soon. But this guy was the slickest dude I ever fought up to that point. And it took
Yeah.
me 4 rounds to really put a glove on him. And
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it took me a while to hit this dude. I can't think of his name. I'm thinking, but this dude took me a long time to put a glove. When I finally hit him, I knocked him out. I caught him,
Yeah.
I knocked him down. Once I knocked him down, I said, I got to get him out of here because it took me like 4 or 5 rounds to really put a solid punch on him. He
Wow.
had studied me. He knew my every move. He knew everything about me. I couldn't hit him the first 4 rounds. And that was something that I was used to because I was knocking everybody out. So I'm like, I'm
Right.
supposed to go ahead and knock this dude out. That dude gave me more of a fit than anybody I ever faced in my life as far as trying to hit him. I could not hit him for 4 rounds. Well, so I had to think of a move, which today is the move I call a pause. I had to think of that pause. And when I got that pause, I said, yeah, hit the pause jab with the right hand, and
Yeah.
drop
Yeah.
him.
Yeah.
I said,
Yeah.
he cannot survive because it may be 5 more rounds before I hit him again. So I got to get him out of here. You understand me? And I got him out.
He didn't get up.
Nah, he got up,
Sweet.
but I got him out after that. Yeah, I put him back down again. Yeah.
So smartest fighter. Okay. Is there an opponent you liked the least? Somebody that really kind of got under your skin?
Well, Montreal Griffin, the second time I got on my
Yeah.
skin because
Yeah.
he talked so much after that first time, and it was really a disqualification. And he talked like he just blew me out the first time, and that really got under my skin. So he
Yeah.
was the only one that really ever truly got under my skin like that.
How about the fastest fighter you ever faced?
The fastest fight I fought, it might have been the guy I'm trying to think of. I can't think of it. Like I said, I still haven't thought of his name, but he might be the fastest too because he was quick as heck, and I couldn't hit him. And that's what made me so angry with him because he was fast. And Rollins, his last name was Rollins.
His last name is Rollins.
Yeah. I can't think of her name, but last name was Rollins.
We'll figure it out.
Rollins, yeah.
We'll
I
figure
can't
it
think of
out.
the first name, but it's coming to me. But this dude,
Rollins.
man, this dude was something else.
How about the best defensive opponent? That may be the Rollins guy you've already mentioned.
No.
No?
He had good defense,
Uh-huh.
but this other dude had defense that was better than his because you can hit him, but you won't hit him too flush or too clean.
Yeah.
And that
Yeah.
dude was named James Lights Out Tony.
There you go. Yeah, that figures.
Best
That's not
defender of
surprising.
all.
Yeah.
Best defender of all.
He tough to lay a glove
No,
on.
the guy name was Rollin Williams. That's his name.
Rollin Williams.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
All
think his
right.
name Rollin Williams, yeah.
All right. So what was it about Tony that made him so tough to lay hands on? He just
Man,
rolled with punches well.
because he's a lot like Floyd. He stayed behind that. He stayed behind that shoulder. It's hard for me to get to him because he
Yeah.
stayed so far behind that shoulder. So it's very difficult to get to him.
Okay. So number 7, your sweetest victory. What one really
I,
meant the most to you out of your
that
entire
second, that
career?
second, that second Montreal Griffin
Yeah.
fight because
Yeah.
they took my O, and I didn't have to do that, but they took my O, and it really upset me a lot because I was trying to stay undefeated. So to
Yeah.
come back and avenge that was the best thing that I ever did.
So revenge is sweet, huh?
Yes.
How about your most painful defeat?
The first Tarver fight. The second Tarver fight.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Because that was the first time I got TKO, and that
Right.
was kind of painful to me because I wasn't used to that. But coming down from heavyweight, losing all that weight, I should have expected that could happen at that time. But I just didn't want to believe it. I didn't want to believe that it had that much of a bearing on my life, and
Right.
I just kind of wanted to, I wanted to be able to go through that. But when you go up and make such a sacrifice, gain that much muscle, and then you come back down, you got to know you're gonna ruin your body. You know what I mean? Because
Right.
it's 25 pounds of muscle you put on, and you take that same 25 pounds of muscle, you take it off. That has to do something to your body. So, and I won the first fight still, even being weak and drained like that. So that showed the
Yeah.
heart that I had. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
but that was probably my hardest defeat.
Was that in a sense a mistake?
In a sense, it was,
Gaining
but
all
it
that
wasn't.
weight and
No. That wasn't the mistake. The mistake was not taking a year off after I did that. After I won the language title from the first time, should have
yeah.
took a break right there because I was going to do what I did regardless.
Yeah.
That's what I had put in my mind to do. I was going to do. That's why I survived that first fight and did what I did that first fight because my heart said, no, you say you're going to do this, let's go get this. So I went here after them last 4 rounds and got that. You understand where I'm coming from? Because he was a tough fight the first time and I ain't had no energy. But when I sat down around 8, I was like, you know what? I said I could go get it. Let's go get it. So I got back up around 9 when he got it. You know what I'm saying? So and that took a lot, but that's because that's just what I was gonna do. The mistake was I should have took a year or 2 off after that. After that first fight, I should say, okay, I did what I wanted to do. Go take a break and see if you find things you want to do first before you come to
Right.
box. Because if you ain't got nothing to do, don't just keep fighting. You just giving them shots. And I kept
Right.
fighting. I was just giving them shots. You feel me? Well, I should have just stopped and say, okay, now you get everything you want to do. What else you want to do in boxing? Is there something you want to do? You want to go win a cruiserweight title?
Right.
Go focus on doing that. Don't just go out there fighting just because they want to fight you, because you're giving all them free shots at you and you have no goals and no motives. So what are you out there for? You just out there as bait because you ain't trying to prove nothing. They are.
So you're saying you mentally and or physically, you should have given yourself a year to kind of readjust to a light heavyweight or lower weight division.
And readjust and to set new goals, because after I beat him the first time, that's what I said to do. I wanted to go do what Bob Fitzsimmons did. I wanted to win the light heavyweight title, go back and recapture win the light heavyweight title, go win the heavyweight title, then come back and recapture the light heavyweight title. That was the biggest part of all that to me.
Yeah.
Yep.
So number 10, the last one. Fighters have good nights and bad nights, but is there one fight, one moment in your career when you think the world watched Roy Jones Jr. at his absolute peak?
No, I don't think it was, because when I look at him, even when I look back at him sometime, man, I'd be like, wow, I did all that night. Like, I watched something as Clint Woods fight. And I'm fascinated by the way I stayed sharp and how precise my punches were. Everything I see stuff that fascinates me. I watched Richard Hall fight. I'm fascinated. I watch how quick I hit Reggie Johnson. Listen to this now. My favorite combination, you didn't ask me. But I hit Reggie Johnson. He a southpaw, right?
Yep.
I hit him so fast with a hook, and it should be hook right hand, right?
Yep.
I hit him so fast with a hook right hand that his face didn't get to come back. So I hit the other side of it. That's ridiculous. Go look at the tape. He hit him with a left hook and right hand on the same side of the face because the head didn't get to come back and have him so fast. Ridiculous. You understand me? That is That's ridiculous. Awesome. You can't find stuff like that. So then when if you go look at a fight where you fought against a guy who probably looked upon as one of the best fighters ever, if you look at him and watch what he did before that, look at James Toney, man. James Toney was a killer. James Toney was a hard-hitting Floyd Mayweather. A hard-hitting Floyd Mayweather. You couldn't hit him, but he was a hard-hitting, basic Floyd Mayweather.
Yeah.
And I took him to school.
Yeah.
Come on, man. It don't get much better than that. So there's then go up and fight Ruiz. Nobody ever seen me fight as a heavyweight. I never thought I'd ever be a heavyweight. Now go up and beat the WBA heavyweight champ who knocked down Evander Holyfield with a right hand. One of the only other people to knock Holyfield down. Bert Cooper hurt him. I think Riddick Bowe might have hurt him, knocked him down, and I think John Ruiz knocked him down. Only 3 people.
Yeah.
Only 3. And this dude knocked down. People take that for granted though. He knocked down Evander. He won only 3.
Yeah.
And I made him look like it was nothing.
Yeah. Right.
Like it was nothing. So people can say what they want, but it's like, like I said, it's hard for me to really say what night I couldn't have been beat on, because there was several nights. Even when I fought Jeff Lacey, I felt like when I fought Jeff Lacey, I felt like that was one of the times I got training and rest right as an old school fighter. That was one night that training and rest went perfect in that camp, because I had more energy that night than I probably ever had outside of when I played basketball before I fought those times. But other than that night I fought Jeff Lacey, I had more energy that particular night because of the way I rested myself. I even ate a steak on that Wednesday before the weigh-in. I'll never forget that, because I was like, I had fuel. I was ready to go. I was sharp as a tack. I mean, that was a phenomenal night for me too. So it's like, it's hard for me to say which night was my best.
Yeah, cool. So you bring up, you brought up a couple of times now, so I need to ask you about rest. Do fighters overtrain sometimes? Do they not put enough emphasis on rest and the recuperation?
A lot of fighters overtrain, and they don't put enough emphasis on rest and recuperation, because we think that when you take a day off, that means you're lazy or you're not doing the right thing. But a day off can be far more valuable to you than a bad day on. You understand me? So it's like, I feel like I trained too long for this last situation. I went 4 months. I hadn't done it so long, and I go hard when I go. So I feel like I overtrained, because even if you look at the fight, and I know that everybody wondering why, but I know why. The first round, I was breathing so hard. I was like, wow, I shouldn't be breathing this hard. I wasn't breathing this hard when I started training. You understand me? At the end of training, I'm breathing harder than I was when I first started training. That means you overtrain. I mean, that means I did too much for too long. But when they pushed the fight back, I knew that was going to probably happen to me, because once you start, you don't want to stop, because you get lazy and don't want to do it. So I couldn't just stop. So me and Tom tried to spread it out some from it, but it still I still went too hard for too long, and I still think I overdid it, because after the first round, I came into the corner. I was amazed at how hard I was breathing. I was like, I shouldn't be breathing this hard. But I had been saying that for the last 2 weeks coming up to training. I said, I shouldn't be breathing this hard. I got to be the overdid it, because I was breathing too hard. I wasn't breathing that hard the first 2 weeks of sparring. Now at the end of it, I'm breathing hard. I worked the first 2 weeks. That means it went backwards.
Yeah,
Overdid it, and
yeah.
I know that that's what I did.
So, but you knew heading into that fight you were overtrained a little bit.
Yeah, I knew it. I knew it.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. So let's talk about Tom a little bit. Just because he's a phenomenal friend and an excellent coach, probably one of the most underrated coaches in the game. Hopefully, his name's getting out a little bit now because he's had some phenomenal champions and a great experience in the sport and has a great mind in boxing. When did you
Mhm.
first hook up with Tom, and how did that relationship kind of develop?
A friend of mine named Troy Reeves had me up in Pittsburgh, and they introduced me. I met Tom at Buzz's. I was sparring with a couple of his guys when I was training at Buzz Garner's gym up in California, PA, a place that I love, a place that I would gladly call home because I love it up there as far as training goes. It's not Pensacola type home, but as far as training goes, that's the most awesome place in the world to train because there's nothing up there.
Yep.
Buzz has a great house. There's a boxing training camp. I mean, it's the best place ever to go call, to go train. You know what I mean? So I was there. I met Tony, brought a couple guys to me a few times there. And then after that, they was like, you should go work with Tom and see how that goes. So I went to work with him, and I realized right away how much he loved the sport of boxing. Number
Right.
one,
Right.
how much time he consumes, he lets boxing consume with him. He gives
Yeah.
boxing all his time.
Oh,
All
he
his
does.
whole life is boxing. His wife will tell you he's up at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning doing study about boxing. So
Yeah.
it's like I hooked up with Tom. I really enjoyed it, and he's good with the shoulder and all. But when I was younger, he and I both we understood each other a little bit, but we kind of clashed with the shoulder roll because you got to remember, I wasn't the shoulder roll guy. I beat the shoulder roll guy, but the
Right.
shoulder roll also saved the legs, which I understood what he was trying to do. But at the same time, it's hard for me to back down to that because to me, that's a step backwards instead of a step forward. You feel me?
Right.
But when you
Yeah.
get older and your legs get bad, you got to take a step backwards sometimes, which could also be a step forward. You know what I'm saying? Because
Hmm.
you got to be smarter. So that's what we both was kind of juggling with. And so we worked together the first time. I didn't like how it turned out because I still had too much energy to be back in that shoulder roll mentality.
Yeah. Yeah.
This time when I got ready to do the thing with Tyson, he contacted me. He was like, you know what? I've been studying this guy for years. I know exactly how to work, how to do this guy, how to beat this guy. So he sent me the things he said, sent me what he thought, and I know that you gotta have a game plan going into every fight. And I know
Hmm.
with Tom, he always gonna give me a game plan. What I like about Tom, he's younger than me, but his mind is all boxing. He didn't get to fulfill his boxing career like he wanted to, but he loves
Right.
boxing. Him
Right.
and there's another guy named Angel Santana that I know. These
Yep.
two guys love boxing more than anybody I know on the planet. You
Yeah.
feel me? They
Yeah.
both had situations, Tom with his shoulders, Angel has a disease. They both had situations that hindered their boxing careers, but they're both guys that love boxing so much that if they could, they'd be in boxing every day because
Yeah.
that's just who they are. That's just
Yeah.
who they are. So with that being said, it's like when he said that, I knew right away that if I'm gonna have a game plan to deal with Mike Tyson, that's where I should go because he gonna have the game plan. What
Right.
else I like about Tom is it's crazy. I'm 51 years old, but his mind is so creative that all the stuff that he be wanting done, that he want to see done, that his mind think of, I can do it all.
Yeah.
Even the young
Yeah.
guys he got they
Yeah.
train, they can't do it. I can. They
Yeah.
can't do it like I can do it. You understand me? I can
Yeah.
do everything his mind comes up with. But he's not used to that. So it's
Yeah.
like we challenge one another because he always try to think of things that I probably can't do, and I'm gonna do everything that he give me and some. And it's a
Yeah.
fun relationship because he's younger than me, but still, I know mentally he's gonna challenge me, and I like that
Right.
mental challenge because it makes me go. So that's why I like. That's why I deal with Tom.
When he's a great student of the game. I mean, he knows he can tell you
Yes, of
any
course,
guy
of
from
course.
way back Henry Armstrong and before and
Yes,
everything about him, and actually take the experience and skills and knowledge they have and apply
and
it
apply it to
today's
today.
fighters.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
And probably exciting because to have somebody like you as a sponge. I noticed that the two of you, when you work together, you listen to him, he listens to you. There's a great rapport, so it's probably exciting for him to have somebody that, like you say, can execute all these things he has in his head and
Hmm.
that he's seen and
Hmm.
done.
Of course it is. So it's a great thing for both of us because we're constantly learning from one another because we're both
Yeah,
pugilists of this game. We both love it. We both have enough humility about us that we never think we know it all.
that's humility is key. Yeah, well,
Hmm.
that's a great point. So I want to talk a little bit about before we wrap up here your own fighters that you've started training. What influences you've had besides Tom as far as a training mentality and what approach you take to your guys and just promote your guys a little bit, who you're working with and who you got that you're excited about.
First and foremost, I got Chris Eubank Jr., who's probably the biggest name I got.
Yeah.
I've been training Devin Alexander some.
Yeah.
I got a couple. I got Glenn Hagler Jr. I got
Yeah.
Michael Williams Jr. I got Brian Perella. I got Mark Sullivan. I got Freddie Wilhite. I got Andrew. I forget Andrew last name right now. I got Andrew. I got a couple. I got James Wilkins. I trained off and on. I got a few other guys. I got Mohamed Mamon from France, who
Yeah.
I trained. So he just signed a deal with Adrian Broner about business, as a matter of fact. So
Uh-huh.
hopefully I'll be seeing him soon. And I got a couple guys. I got a couple others that come in and out, but that's Ikram Kirot, the girl.
Mm-hmm.
So that's mainly my stable, and I just enjoy training people because what I do is I don't try to make you be me. I try to take you and try to help you get the best and the most out of your DNA as we can
Uh-huh.
get. Because
Uh-huh.
I don't get the most out of your DNA, I'm not doing no good.
Right.
Making you fight Roy Jones type fighting, you a Mike Tyson style, you got Mike Tyson DNA, that makes no sense. That don't go together. You
Right.
understand? If you got Mike Tyson DNA, we're gonna teach you to fight like Mike. If you got Michael Spinks DNA, we're gonna teach you to fight like Mike Spinks. If you got Sugar and Leonard DNA, we're gonna teach you how to fight like Sugar and Leonard. Whoever your DNA matches is what we're gonna try to work on. We don't want to make a square out of a circle. You know what I mean? If there's a circle, we want to make it the best circle we can make it. If there's a square, we want to make it the best square we can make it. If it's a triangle, we want to make it the best triangle we can make it. But we're not coming in with a preconceived mind. Everything must be a box. No, we don't have a box. We stay outside the box so we can understand what we're dealing with. Because if we understand what we're dealing with, then we can always make it better. But when you just try to take one track mind and put it to everything, something's not going to develop.
Right. Well, I think that's what's, not all fighters make great coaches, but that's exactly why, is they're trying to make that fighter in front of them replicate their style and do exactly as they did. It just doesn't work.
Can't do that. No.
But you've had some great teachers. I mean, so I think you're destined to be a great trainer because the guys you've had that you've learned from, and because again, you grew up in this sport. You from an early age, you've lived this.
Yep.
So, Tom Youngkello's World Boxing Class channel. We need to pitch that.
Yeah, whatever you do, make sure you go to Tommy Youngkello's World Boxing Class channel. You'll learn a lot. He's always very informative. A lot of experiences you'll get there. He teaches a lot. He has a mind for boxing. He loves boxing, which is why I love him.
Yeah. Tune into that. Check that out. Roy, where can all of your fans and followers hook up with you and watch all you've got going on now and in the future?
Roy Jones Jr. official on Instagram. There's a thing called RJJFightStore.com to go buy apparel. That's Roy Jones Jr.
Nice.
And I do love Instagram stuff. So look me up as Roy Jones Jr. official, and be looking for me maybe doing a deal with Triller soon and putting on some more fights. And I might get Anderson Silva to step back in there if the public wants to see it. Now, if the public don't want to see it, I ain't gonna waste my time. But if y'all want to see it, y'all put it down there and we'll make it happen.
Well, I think the boxing fans always want to see more of Roy Jones Jr.
Yes,
I want to end with a quote by Burt Sugar, and he said about Roy Jones, he said, he possesses the fastest hands in boxing with lightning fast moves and explosive power in both hands, the greatest fighter of all time.
He's a smart man.
Pound for pound, the best. Roy, thanks for joining us and taking the time. Appreciate you. It's good seeing you. Thanks for all the entertaining fights, and we're looking forward to more.
Thanks for having me.
Take care. Thank you for watching this episode of Title Unboxed. If you're anything like me, you can never get too much boxing. So if you'd like to watch more episodes, you can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and our Title Boxing YouTube page.